The family living in this mobile home has 24 days to get out of this house, even though code enforcement has condemned the building. What's worse, that landlord gets to keep the bulk of their deposit.
I held my rent so that way my landlord would come and fix the problems. And when I held the rent, he brought me eviction papers.
The sign posted outside Terry's home does not absolve him from paying rent. It says the condemned mobile home is not safe for people. 3 other neighbors have them too. He can charge rent for that, apparently.
I guess that's legal here.
Code enforcement confirms there's no county ordinance against renting condemned homes.
All the way down, all the way to the pantry.
Terry showed us his floppy floor, a frozen AC unit, and plumbing problems around the kitchen sink.
And he has not one time came and fixed anything. Nothing.
By phone, the landlord says Terry never had problems until they started the eviction process. Are you saying he caused those problems?
Yeah, he caused this problem for sure.
Several other neighbors also complained. Code enforcement says some renters haven't allowed inspections over fear they'll have to leave. The landlord says the conditions are not as bad as they're being made out to be.
They try to not pay the rent. They try to take an advantage.
Code enforcement says the landlord has until the 29th to fix this property. The Geeseys will have to be out 2 days later, and he's worried that his neighbors, who also have condemned signs on their buildings, will be the next forced to leave. Reporting in Bithlo, Janine Reyes, Channel 9 Eyewitness News. Dad Thomas Conyers says the boy's mother, Melanie, did not tell him that his son was injured inside this fire. When he went to pick him up for his visitation, she said they were in Tennessee, when in fact the little boy was in critical condition.
Why when you tell family, hey, your son is in critical condition right now, he's been involved in a house fire? Nobody reached out to me.
For 12 days, Thomas Conyers had no idea the little boy he saw just a few weeks ago no longer looked like this. He's battling for his life.
One doctor told me what you see is what you get for the rest of his life.
4-year-old Thomas and his brother Caleb ended up trapped inside this burning home. Crews pulled them out. Caleb died a week later. Thomas is barely holding on.
I know my son would be perfectly fine and Caleb would still be here today if they were able to go in and just pull him out.
Firefighters lost valuable minutes getting to the boys. Neighbors say stepdad Lewis Cruz told everyone the house was empty. Do you hold Lewis responsible for this?
I do, 100%. 100%.
Thomas is only allowed visitation with his son every other day for 2 hours.
I just want justice. I just want my son to have a chance to be able to fight and be able to have me by his side.
Lots of questions remain in this case. JHIT will even be out here tomorrow on the holiday investigating. We've learned tonight that they are involving DCF in this case. We've also learned of a history of DCF complaints against this mother. I'll have that for you coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. For now, we're in Winter Garden. Janine Reyes, Channel 9 Eyewitness News. Thomas Conyers tells me while he could have never seen this tragic fire coming, he's not all that surprised his son was so badly hurt in something this tragic. In fact, he shared with us today paperwork from DCF involvement in his son's life before.
So DCF had got involved and they're coming back to make sure there was a lock at the top of the door.
Shortly after dating Melanie, DCF opened an investigation when her oldest child, Madeline, wandered out of the house. Caleb was 2 weeks old at the time. Not long after came his son, Thomas Jr.
I can't explain to you how much I love that kid.
Thomas ended up behind bars for 11 months. That's when 25-year-old Melanie started dating 16-year-old Lewis Cruz, who authorities arrested on drug charges. Documents show Melanie as his co-defendant. That led to DCF involvement, finding the risk level for the children high. The report says it's not the first call to the agency, but Melanie's father, who is also her attorney, told her to stop cooperating with investigators. Eventually, the kids went from foster care back to mom, where Thomas wonders what life was really like for his 4-year-old. He visits when Melanie allows.
I can tell you, he don't never want to go home.
Tonight for Thomas, home is a crime scene, a burned shell of what used to be. Mom and stepdad have unlimited visitation. Thomas can see his son every other day. Doctors say recovery is not likely.
One doctor told me what you see is what you get for the rest of his life.
We also know that children's welfare was questioned just 10 days before this fire, when neighbors out here called to report the children wandering around with no food or drinks. We've confirmed tonight that DCF will be called in on this case as well. Reporting in Winter Garden tonight, Janine Reyes, Channel 9 Eyewitness News. And it should have kept him out of class because he's not allowed to use any devices with internet access. But we're learning from his account rep here at New Horizons that he not only got into class, but he also had his education paid for with a grant. This is Michael Haas in 2013 when he earned a certification for IT here at New Horizons. We're learning now he was not even allowed internet access when he graduated. The facility offers computer courses in forensics and cybersecurity, and even though his probation did not allow it, they trained a sex offender convicted of soliciting a child online. This affidavit details an online conversation where he told the detective, who he thought was a 13-year-old girl, things like, "We can go slow at first," and "I just hope you and I can get together tonight." Authorities charged Haas in Polk County in 2007. In fact, at that time, a judge ordered no use of any computers. A jury found him guilty in 2008.
Because you are classified as a violent felony offender of special concern, that VOP is going to, there's a 5-day hold placed on you.
VOP means he violated that probation on sex charges. He's accused now of not providing his email address, phone number, address, or other information to probation officers watching over him. And since he passed his IT course in 2013, there's no telling how much this convicted sex offender, banned from the internet in 2012, knows now about online investigations like the one Polk County busted him in back in 2007. The school admitted Haas, they say, because of a letter from his church. They offered to potentially provide that to me, but when I got here this afternoon, their doors were locked. They told me they were closed for the holiday weekend. We're live in Orlando. Janine Reyes, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Janine?
And Bob, the school knew his past and admitted him anyway because of a letter from his church. Still, his conviction required him not to use any devices with internet access, which would, of course, include the computers he trained on right here at New Horizons.
The legal responsibility to keep this defendant away from computers lies with the probation department.
Tonight, we're asking the Department of Corrections why they didn't know Michael Haas graduated from New Horizons Computer Learning Centers in 2013 when the school publicly posted this photograph of the smiling grad. In an email late this afternoon, the Department of Corrections confirms they would object to a sex offender requesting approval to obtain an IT certification from a tech school. But for some reason, they did not object in 2013 when he graduated. They're doing it now.
One certainly has to question why it took them 2 years.
We learned from his account rep that you and I paid for those classes because he attended with money from an unemployment grant. No word on if that certificate got him a job. He is charged with failure to register his email, giving false statements, and not providing his address. Tonight, his address is updated to show the jail. We're asking probation if they will change policy or punish their employee for losing track of Haas long enough for him to earn this certification.
It was paramount that probation monitor him 24/7 to make sure that he did not have computer access so that he could cultivate even more victims.
We don't know what Haas learned here at New Horizons. His rep says he took a basic IT course, but he also tells me that here at the school they do train law enforcement who investigate computer crimes. Haas is convicted of seeking out what he thought was a 13-year-old girl online. We're live in Orlando tonight. Janine Reyes, Channel 9 Eyewitness News. The VFW makes their money renting out this building for weddings, award ceremonies, and other events. Now they say their biggest source of revenue could be gone. After serving their country,
it's a way to get rid of the vets.
These vets say their city is letting them down.
This is not an effort to get rid of the VFW. They've had that building for 9 years. They've had exclusive use of a building built and paid for by the taxpayers of the city of Apopka.
They now have to share it with a theater group 66 days a year. Former Mayor John Land gave this city-owned building to the VFW. Post 10147 is clearly marked outside it. In 2005, vets broke ground on the community center that would be theirs. The entire deal done by handshake.
A gentleman's agreement, not a written contract.
That's now causing problems. Veterans paid for upgrades. From the chandeliers to the ice chests here behind the bar, the veterans say they've invested a lot into this building at a total cost of about $400,000.
I'd love to see the receipts that the VFW says that it's spent on that building.
The AHA Theater Group will not have to pay for upgrades or use, and it's yet another handshake agreement. If it's the same deal, it's a gentleman's agreement right now.
Well, exactly. Right now, it's all a gentleman's agreement.
An agreement these vets say may put them out of business.
You're going to force us to have to move because we're not going to have the revenue to do anything.
Veterans haven't heard from the city or theater group yet, but their plays are scheduled to begin sometime in September. In Apopka, Janine Reyes, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Janine Reyes was at this morning's announcement, and Janine, Orlando city leaders have big goals and they're optimistic they'll be able to reach them.
They are. The plan is to have a program in place to get homeless veterans off the street and into permanent housing, and to do that with most of these veterans by the end of this year.
I'm all for it. I'm a vet that needs a home.
Mike Bishop has been homeless for the last year and a half. He spent 6 months on the street, and his home for the last year has been the Salvation Army.
They're good people. I like staying with them, but I prefer my own place.
And that's the goal of a new initiative that will use an army of about 400 volunteers, landlord partners, and VA funding to get veterans like Bishop and Terry Two Feathers off the streets.
God bless you.
And into their own home. Terry hasn't had luck with shelters.
I was staying at the Salvation Army last year, and I woke up I was ate up with bed bugs, and I said I'd never stay at one of those shelters again.
He says the VA won't place him either. So for now, his day is spent here, his night on the streets.
You know, it's not as bad as what people think it is. It's not really.
It may take some time and convincing to get Terry on board with the new program that aims to put him in his own home. Bishop is already eager to learn more.
I served my country, and that's the best part of it. The second part is it serves me now.
And recruiting for those 400 volunteers is ongoing now. Training will begin July 13th, and that outreach starts July 20th. They're looking for 400 volunteers. Reporting live in Orlando tonight, Janine Reyes, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.